The ballroom smelled like stale perfume and victory. Evan stood under the rented chandeliers, telling the crowd that tonight was about truth. His voice carried like a polished sermon, warm, confident, rehearsed. I stood near the stage, my hand wrapped around a folder of receipts in my purse, screenshots, bank printouts, emails, a notarized letter, each document a pulse. My eyes scanned the room and locked onto them. A slim woman near the back and a young boy by her side, his fingers tangled in hers. I knew their names before he introduced himself. I knew them the moment the boy tugged at her dress. It felt like standing inside a storm, waiting to decide whether to speak or drown. Evan lifted his glass, smiling toward me. "You deserve honesty," he said. "You're absolutely right," I said, stepping forward before my nerve fled. Silence landed like snow. I tightened my grip on the folder. My heart didn't break, it braced. Evan hadn't always been a liar. Or maybe he had, and I was busy loving him too loudly to hear the quiet warnings. I met him in a used bookstore where he was reading marginal notes out loud, amused by strangers' thoughts. He remembered my favorite coffee. He brought flowers for no reason. He read my work with patient eyes. I was rebuilding from a rough breakup, trying to believe in good things again. Evan made believing easy. We had dinners in, slow Sunday mornings, and nights where he'd hold me like the future was something he could build with his hands. He worked for a boutique travel firm, which sounded exciting but mostly meant long nights and emergency trips. I designed websites for small businesses, weaving their stories into clean buttons and soft color palettes. Everyone loved him, Tessa next door with laughter like wind chimes, Marcus, who photographed abandoned warehouses, Heather from book club, who smelled like basil and sunlight. Evan fit into my world like it had been waiting for him. But there were red flags, tiny, trimmed so neatly they looked decorative. 2 phones, work and personal. Frequent weekend trips to places he named casually. Boise, Santa Fe, Asheville, vague details, no itineraries. When I asked to come along, he kissed my forehead and said, "You'd be bored, Lila. I'll take you somewhere better." I believed him. I wanted to. The illusion cracked on a rainy Tuesday. His personal phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he showered. A text preview flashed. "Can you pick up Rowan at 5? He's got art class." The contact was saved as just a heart emoji and the word nest. Another preview arrived. "Please don't forget the school form." My pulse tripped. Rowan, school. My throat tasted metallic. I told myself it was a wrong number. But the quiet in my chest felt like a warning. I began paying attention. When Evan traveled that weekend, I checked his cloud folders, just the titles. A folder labeled Nest Finances appeared, password protected. My heart thudded, counting each wrong password until I tried one of my old nicknames. It opened. Inside, spreadsheets, rent receipts, and a PDF lease for a house in Ridgewood only 45 minutes away. The signature, Evan Pritchard, co-signed by someone named Valerie Ford. My stomach felt hollow. I didn't confront him, not then. Instead, I started collecting. I saved images of the Nest spreadsheets and the lease. I renamed them map.jpg, Ridgewood PDF, then hid them. One afternoon, Evan left his work phone at home. A message came from the heart contact. "Rowan loved the Rockets. Thank you for making time." I took a photo of the conversation with my own phone. My hands shook. I forwarded it to an email labeled simply, "Truth." I told Evan I had plans and followed him instead. He stopped in Ridgewood, walked up to a small house with blue windows. A dark-haired woman came out. A little boy ran toward him screaming, "Dad!" My breath left my body like I'd been punched. Evan lifted the boy with the ease of long practice. Days later, a call from an unknown number went to voicemail. A woman's voice, tired but affectionate. Evan, I need you to sign Rowan's art permission slip. He wants you there. Call me. I saved it to the truth folder. I showed Tessa everything. She swayed like she'd been hit. He gaslights the sun, she whispered. You need proof he can't twist. Marcus offered to help. Say the word, he said. He followed Evan once and returned with photos, nothing intimate, just father and boy at a park. Evan sat on the grass reading to Rowan, who leaned on him with relaxed trust. I didn't know whether to sob or scream. The next round of gaslighting came quiet and practiced. When I asked about Ridgewood, Evan laughed. We had a client there a year ago. Tiny place. When I asked why he carried 2 phones, he touched my cheek. You hate how reachable I am. I'm trying to find balance. He made concern look like devotion. I didn't argue. I just gathered. I met with an attorney, Dolores Sharp, calm, efficient. She told me to separate finances and document everything. She drafted letters. I opened a new account. I moved half our joint savings legally. I hid every document in a yellow folder labeled Maintenance Request behind stale crackers. He never cooked. Receipt 5. School portal. An automated email appeared. Emergency contact change Rowan Ford. I clicked. Contacts. Valerie Ford, Evan, Pritchard, father, and newly added me. He had signed me into his son's world without my consent. I stared until my eyes stung. He believed I would stay. He believed he could merge the worlds without anyone noticing. That night, I made a plan. Evan was organizing a company gala about transparency. He asked me to make the slideshow. I said yes. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life of my own, smiling and cooking while sorting legal folders. I created his slideshow, team photos, data, quotes about honesty. Then, I made a second version, embedding my receipts between inspirational slides. I told no one, not even Tessa and Marcus, the exact timing. I needed silence to make the truth clean. My only setback came when Evan caught me printing documents. Work project, I lied. He smiled. You're always working so hard, he said, and kissed my forehead. The printer hummed between us like a threat. On the night of the gala, I wore a navy dress that made me feel like I was made of spine. Marcus and Tessa sat near the aisle. The chandelier light flickered against glasses of champagne. Valerie and Rowan entered quietly and took seats near the back. My ribs tightened. Evan opened with a speech about trust and growth. When he sat beside me, I clicked the first slide. Chairs scraped as people shifted. Slide, company photo. Slide, rising numbers. We believe in honesty. Then my first insertion, the Nest Finances screenshot with his signature, captioned, "Honesty means knowing where our resources go." A faint sound rippled through the room. Evan leaned toward me. "What is this?" he whispered, smiling too wide. "Transparency," I said softly. The next insertion, the text thread from Nest. The message about picking up Rowan. His reply, "Tell him I'm proud." A murmur, eyes turning. He stood suddenly. "There's been a technical error. Let's..." The third insertion arrived. The school portal listing Valerie, Evan, and me. The caption, "Integrity begins at home." Someone gasped. Chairs scraped. Marcus bowed his head. Hands clasped. Steady witness. Evan's smile cracked. Valerie stood. Rowan clutched her hand. Evan saw them and finally broke. He tried to approach them, but a staffer stopped him with a quiet, firm hand. He turned back to me, face pale. "Lila, don't do this. I love you. I was going to tell you." "It's not complicated," I said. "Just dishonesty." Dolores arrived and handed him documents detailing the separation of funds and his removal from shared accounts. He looked small beneath the stage lights, shrinking inside his expensive suit. Valerie's voice cut through the room. You humiliated our son. She took Rowan and left. Evan reached for me. I stepped back. You added my name to your son's forms. Remove it. Tonight. He tried to speak, but every word collapsed before it reached his tongue. Truth had language. He didn't. Valerie and I exchanged occasional emails, two women sorting fragments. No blame, only facts. Once, she wrote, "He told me you were a client." I almost laughed. "You deserved better," I replied. Spring arrived timidly. I bought a small watercolor frame and printed the image of the blue window house, the one Rowan painted. I hung it in my hallway, beside the light switch. Not as a monument to pain, but proof of clarity. I donated the yellow folder empty now to recycling. Then I replaced it with a single notebook labeled Plans. One warm evening, I stood by the river. The water glimmered like a new language, honest and quiet. I whispered thank you, not to Evan, but to the version of myself who gathered proof, who waited for the right room, who turned on the light. I am not the woman who begs for confession. I am the woman who writes the ending. By Monday, he was placed on leave. He emailed me a long apology filled with half-truths. I archived it. I returned his belongings through a neighbor. Marcus helped box them. The blue mug, his. The cracked vase, mine. Weeks passed. I walked more. I slept diagonally in bed. Tessa cooked, oversalting everything until it tasted like recovery. Marcus printed one of his park photos, not of Evan, but of willow branches leaning over water. For calm, he said.